Dorrington House. So this is my own place. Like I said earlier, we bought this place thinking we'll just buy a house this time that doesn't need a big renovation, and it didn't. But then COVID happened, and my mum wasn't coping very well living alone while she was isolated, and so she would come over and stay for a few weeks here and a few weeks there when lockdowns happened. And Taryn and I spoke, and Mum spoke, and we thought, wouldn't it just be easier if you moved in? And Taryn graciously said, "Yeah, let's have mother-in-law move in, but let's have some separation." So we have our bedroom up on the top level. There's a communal middle level, and there was a lower level that was previously car parking and undercroft, and so we looked to take advantage of that space and make a space for Mum to live.
And Dorrington House, the name you called the house that, or was it always Dorrington House?
That's the name I call it. I'm very creative with house names. It's on Dorrington Drive.
Yeah, nice. Mate, it must have taken you hours to come up with the name.
That's right.
So again, age of the house?
So this is 50s, late 50s, early 60s.
Yep.
It was post-war house.
Yep.
It was previously lower on the site than it is in that picture. In 2007, the previous owners did a building designer renovation. So there's a big box added on to the back, and it was lifted up.
Gable garage that doesn't really do anything for the style of the house?
That's right. Well, that was actually added at the bequest of the real estate agent because you need to have two cars. And so the owners never had that until about 3 months before we bought it. They quickly knocked up a carport.
Yeah.
I'm glad they did because 2 cars was on my search criteria.
Yeah.
Although we have a different take on 2 cars now.
Yeah. Start of the excavation process.
That's right. This one we pulled 600 cubic metres of dirt out from underneath to make way for the granny flat. We propped the house and did it in 2 stages. So rather than having the Jenga block style sties that would hold a Queenslander up while you excavate under it, we used acro props and we propped half of it, put the footings in for that half, then we propped the other half and put the footings in for that, which meant we could get a little mini excavator in and move around the site much quicker.
And probably a pretense to the next slide, if you look at the block work on the right-hand side of the property, that's probably going to give you a bit of an insight as to the size of the house and possibly what garages are going to look like and things like that.
That's right. And we spoke with the neighbours about what we were doing. And we said we'd like to put a 9 metre long built to boundary wall, 3.5 metres high. But we'd also like to put a garden bed on top of it so that there's a bit of green space between your veranda and our veranda. Paddy and Kath said, sounds great. Let's go.
So you didn't even have to bribe them with alcohol?
Didn't have to bribe them with alcohol. I did build a little shed slab for his falling apart bricks.
Yeah.
But it cost me about $50 to throw the forms up and a few beers for the concreters, and Paddy got a new shed slab.
Yep.
While we just off the excess of one of the trucks. But I mean, they're happy. That built to boundary wall goes next to their water tanks and bin store, and then they've got their deck up on the right there and our new front deck up on the left. And now the plants are just starting to grow up. They probably need another season before we have real visual screen, but it's nice. So that's a view of it this morning.
Yep. It's quite grand, isn't it? And very the lines are very determined. There's
Yeah, so originally the stair was external, and if you wanted to get something out of your car when it was raining, you had to go out into the rain and duck downstairs and go inside. We wanted to have an internal stair, and when you put a stair in a Queenslander, where you put it's always the big choice. Where are you going to sacrifice floor area? Are you going to put it in the darkest spot, or are you going to use it to bring light into both levels? So we found a spot for it. We created a front entry foyer that was communal to both the granny flat and the house, and that has a stair that brings you up.
Is that the barn door there? Is that part of the entrance?
Yeah, so that barn door takes you through to the entrance. So between the garage and the foyer, there's a mudroom, a space to put your school bags and your shoes, somewhere to sit down and tie your shoelaces. So that's just behind that barn door, and then the front door is tucked around the corner there to the left. So,
and something we spoke about, the suspended concrete ceiling.
yeah, so the original house, the corner of it sits where the white ceiling meets the timber joists, and there was a run of 3 columns right down where you want clear space to bring cars in and out of. So I spoke to the engineer and I said, I want you to build me a suspended swimming pool in the sky with no columns underneath it. And he said, no, we can't hold it up. And then I said, well, what if you had a 1.4 metre high concrete beam? Would that span it? He said, yeah, but you'll never fit it in. And so we decided to make the beam to hold it up be also the balustrade to separate the deck from the garden bed. So that gave the engineer what he needed to get the scale to work. I then decided to leave it off-form concrete so we could see the story from underneath and from upstairs. Formwork didn't turn out quite how we wanted, so I decided to polish it. But that's a story for another day.
And how long has it been built for, mate?
It's been completed since the middle of last year.
Okay.
So it's just getting worn in now.
Yeah. And still now it's, I suppose for me when I walk in, when I was doing my stonemasonry, some houses just had that feel where you went, yep, this is got a great feel to the house. Have you still got that same feel with it?
Yeah, I love it. And I enjoy living there every day.
Yep. And this is the granny flat, by the way.
Yeah, this is the granny flat looking forward towards the front door and the stairs, so you can see the foyer in the distance. Mum's granny flat, she wanted a full kitchen. The original design was a kitchenette, so we could, you can come upstairs if you want to use an oven, and she would have no bar of that. So she got a full kitchen, but what we had to compromise was the dining area. Mum was prepared to let the dining area go by the wayside to have the kitchen that she wanted, but I wasn't prepared to let that happen. So I designed this table that we had a local furniture maker craft. That's
almost like an island bench servery breakfast bar.
That's right, yeah, integrated in, but sitting at a dining table height. So it's a little bit more comfortable. And as Mum ages, then she'll still have somewhere comfortable to sit to eat her dinner, and me and the kids go down there for dinner a couple of nights a week too.
Yeah. Bathroom?
It's one of the bathrooms. Again, just clean. We use the same solid timber. Try to stay away from veneers where I can. Again, the timber work there is going to be as nice or nicer in 30 years as it is today. If it gets scratched, you can sand it back and refinish it. So whilst it is a bit more of an investment up front, it's durable and lasting.
And natural stone.
That's right.
Yeah. Pool, which is part of the checkbox.
That's right. Yeah, the project wouldn't happen without a swimming pool. Taryn always wanted a pool for the kids to splash around in growing up and bust off a bit of steam. So there was no other opportunity. We were going to build ourselves out. So that's what we started with. The first day of digging was the pool. We got that in and up and running, got the kids into it. And we cut about 300 mils off the back garden level so that we could come out of the house onto the deck at the same grade. And then it's just very minimal grade changes to direct water away from the building, but you have no steps between the house and the outdoor living area.
Just a question. I had a property up on the hill at Northgate, big old Queensland, and we put a pool in basically the full width of the block of land, so it was about 20 odd metres long. And second bucket of the excavator, we hit rock. We didn't realise at the stage. So basically, a half a day's digging turned into 4 or 5 days digging. What was the challenges with the excavation around the pool and just generally with this property?
For this property, the challenge with excavation was really the confined space. We got pretty lucky with the soil conditions. It was sort of a schisty rock that was rippable with a machine, but pretty ideal to found a building on. So that was a real plus. Another challenge with the soil there was water flow. So we've picked up the water with a series of drainage at 3 different spots before it gets to the building, which is critical. But yeah, all in all, pretty decent founding material. The builders that were involved looked at me a bit funny when I asked them to vacuum the bottom of every pier before we put the concrete in, but that's what we did. So you could eat your dinner off the rock at the bottom of each pier, and the settlement available is pretty close to zero.
See, that's why they hate you guys, see?
Yeah, but I was also prepared to lay on my belly and put the vacuum nozzle down the bottom and suck that dirt out.
Yeah, nice. Now, this is the middle level, so this is the living area out the back.
This is at the front.
At the front, sorry.
Yeah, so this is the north-facing deck, and that's the concrete beam that you see on the right there. That's what holds the whole front corner of the house up. That's all poured monolithically with 2 concrete lintels over the garage doors. Would be too easy if we put a column underneath it. So, but that again, deep veranda facing north, so we control sunlight hitting the building. We can go out there, sit in the northeast corner and enjoy a cup of coffee in the winter morning in the sun, or we can go out onto the back deck and seek shade in the summer. But it's about having choices and different areas that are special at different times of the day, at different days of the year.
Awesome. Geoff,